Hello everyone, Namaskar. My name is Kamal Rawat, and today at India Speaks Daily, we have a guest. We have a special guest, and because the guest is comfortable with English language, so that's why I am taking this interview. This interview will be, the guest is Samuel. So we will be talking to Samuel today, and he is a lawyer in California, and he is a court interpreter. So Samuel has very interesting, he is, today we will be talking about this very interesting book and this Thiaoouba prophecies. So without much ado, let's bring Samuel and let's start this conversation. I hope you will enjoy this conversation. Samuel Chong, welcome to India Speaks Daily. It's a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me here.
So, Samuel, at India Speaks Daily, we have a very strong, very enlightened audience who is spiritually very strong, right? This channel is a social channel. We have a lot of shows on politics. We have a lot of shows on spirituality, especially the Indian spirituality. And, today we will be talking in more or less that area, that spectrum. So, welcome to this podcast, if I may call so. And why don't you introduce yourself to the India Speaks Daily audience, and then we will take the questions.
Great. As you mentioned, I'm a lawyer in California and also a certified court interpreter and a Chinese translator. And I've been working in the field for the last 20 years or so as an interpreter and translator. But this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, really opened my eyes because I believe it is a true account of the personal experience of the author who had an encounter with highly advanced extraterrestrials who took him with them to their planet for 9 days and then came back. And he was told a lot of the knowledge about the mankind history on Earth, the human history on Earth, where we all came from originally. We didn't evolve from apes at all. We all came from different planets. And also the importance of spirituality, about the meaning of life, which is to learn spiritual lessons, as well as the knowledge about the human energy fields, auras, the real dangers on Earth. Number one being money. Number two, politicians. Number three, journalists and drugs. Number four, religions. As well as some of the things that we can do to make the world a better world through collective actions, using nonviolent resistance to rise up against tyrannies in the world. So this book really opened my eyes because I was able to verify some of the specific facts mentioned in the book. So very different from other books, this book contains very specific facts that I was able to do further investigations.
That's great. So, you have shared this book with me. I have, I want to confess that I have not completely read the book, but I have gone through the book. I have gone through your videos. So, correct me if, wherever I'm providing the wrong narration of the book. One of the things that you have said is that, by the way, the author that you are talking about is Michel, right?
Yes, Michel de Marquet.
Yeah. So Michel has its own journey. He was born in France, then he went to Australia, and now he's probably living. He was living in Vietnam, and now he's no more with us, among us. Right? Can you give a very brief introduction of Michel, the author of the book?
Yes, he is a French Australian who didn't have a lot of education. He went to high school and then went to the army, French army in Africa, and then he moved with his family to Australia. The exact location is Cairns, Australia. But in 1987, he had this kind of strange encounter in which he woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. He walked outside of his house, and then he was lifted up to the middle of the air, where he saw a very beautiful 9 or 10 foot tall, gigantic Caucasian ET being extraterrestrial with a spacesuit, who told him that they were going to have a journey together to their planet for 9 days and then came back. And he actually described exactly what he saw during his trip to the planet. And Michel Demarquet is a very regular person. I met him twice before he passed away. He, even though he didn't have a lot of education, he had a very sharp mind. He was able to play chess and then win me several games. And I was really surprised at how smart he was. And he was very cynical towards the end of his life because he didn't really like what was going on Earth, especially the politics in different countries.
All right, great. So you said that, he had a physical journey, right?
Yes,
And he had a physical journey to a different planet.
yes, a different planet.
So when you say a physical journey, physical means that, his body went. Is
Yes.
this correct?
Yes, he was gone for 10 days or so, and this is actually proven by his family members because before he went away, he actually wrote a note to his wife saying that he would be gone for 10 days or so, and there's absolutely no need to worry about him. And then he was gone for 10 days. I got verification from his son, Peter Demarquet.
Okay. And because I will not be contradicting it with what we have in the scriptures of our own Hindu Dharma, Hindu Sanatan Dharma. I want to understand it from your point of view only, because the physical movement. So was it only once, or had he gone multiple times to this separate planet that you are saying?
He went only once in physical form for about 9 or 10 days or so. He
Okay.
described how he was taken by the ETs to their planet and how he came back. They actually traveled at a speed faster than the speed of light, and also using teleportation to move the from one location to another location instantaneously.
Okay, great. So we have. So I have read multiple things in the book. I'm not saying that this is exactly the same in Sanatan Dharma, but I will give you my own perspective that we have this concept of travel, but when we travel, the physical body does not travel because physical body has its own limitations. So the atma or the sukshma sharir, the micro body, so that travels according to our this thing. Second thing that I want to understand is that probably what you are saying is that he was the chosen one, or there was some karma of his that he become deserving of this travel. Was he the
Yeah.
chosen one, or was he did he do something different that the ets chose him for this travel to the other planet?
Okay. First, to your first point, he traveled in physical form, but also on the planet, he also traveled in astral form to his past lives. He saw what happened about 14,500 years ago. He also saw his 80 past lives. And to your second point, yes, he was the chosen one for three different reasons. The first reason was that he had a very sharp mind. He was able to act immediately at their instructions. His main job was to write a book to document his personal experience. This is what he did. He was a man of action. The second reason is the main one is that he was a soko. A soko is a person who had 80 past lives. They believe that 81 lives is actually like a cycle, a great cycle. And this is his 81st lifetime. Only people like him can survive for 9 days on their planet. And they didn't explain for what reason. I believe it has something to do with the vibrations on the planet. And I think the third reason is because he didn't have any preconceived notions, no presuppositions. So he was just like a blank piece of paper to write on. If they were taken, if they were to take like a physicist or politician or ufologist, then um, they would have like different agendas and wouldn't write as accurately as what Michel Demarquet would have done or did. So I think for those three reasons, he was the chosen one.
Okay. So, this there are two things in this answer. One is that he was the chosen one, right? I mean, I personally and Sanatan Dharma does not have the concept of chosen one. We have the concept of karma, that whatever karma I'm doing, those karma gets accumulated, and over the period of time I will get the benefit, or basically, I will have to reap the fruits of that karma, right? If it is good karma, I will get good things. So you are saying both the things. You are saying that he has passed 80 lives, right? Then he has a sharp mind, and then he was the chosen one, right? So past 80 lives, if we say that his past 80 life, the works that he did in past 80 life, if those were the reason why he was the chosen one, then his own deeds, his own karma were responsible in a way. But if we are saying that he was just the chosen one without the karma, then probably it's the chosen one. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm
Yes,
trying to say, right? So what
the
I'm trying to
point.
say is that either he is chosen one because of his deeds in the previous 80 births, and because of that he has a sharp mind, and then he was the chosen one, or he was the chosen one just because he was the chosen one.
Let me first go back a little bit. There are karmic effects. It's mentioned in the book. What you did in the past lives will come back to you sooner or later in this lifetime or in future lifetimes. They will come back at you. And second point is that he was the chosen one because he had 80 past lives already. Only people who have 80 past lives have attained certain levels of spirituality. They have certain kind of vibrations. They're ready to move on to the next level of reincarnation or the next great cycle. So they are able to survive for 9 days on their planet, the planet of Thiaoouba. People like others who had maybe like 12 past lives probably can only survive for 3 days or maybe 2 days on their planet, probably because of the vibrational frequencies. So, in order to maximize the length of time that one can survive on our planet, they chose to choose someone who had 80 past lives so that the person can survive for 9 days on the planet, the maximum amount of time.
Okay, great. In Mahabharata, happened on the Indian soil some 5,000, 6,000 years back. There was one character, Bhishma. So Bhishma remembered all his past 100 lives, right? So, in Sanatan Dharma, we have the concept of Atma and the body, more or less similar to what you have written in what was there in the book, that the body dies, but the Atma does not die. And when we say Atma does not die, it doesn't die, right? So it's like always there, eternal, right? So he remembered his previous 100 years. Right. I'm just giving it, from Sanatan point of view. Another thing that you talked about, which is really exciting, is you talked about the past life regression. So past life regression, he obviously, I am assuming that he cannot physically go into the past life, right?
Right.
Right. So he cannot
He,
physically go into the past life,
yeah.
but he will see his past lives, right?
what
So
what happened was that he went to his past lives with the assistance of the extraterrestrials, the ETs. The ETs took his astral body to his past lives, so he was able to experience his past lives. He witnessed who he was in his 80 past lives. So once he was a German mining worker, and the other time he was an Indian water carrier, and another time he was a Japanese goldsmith, and another time he was a queen of a country on a different planet. So most of his roles in his past lives were very normal, like common people, except for the one time that he was a queen on a planet. So he says that according to the Theubans, the ETs, the different positions, or I mean, the different past lives that he had are just like different positions on a wheel. Like what goes up has to come down. So one has to experience different roles in the different past lives in order to learn different spiritual lessons and in order to spiritually evolve until the astral body is purified.
Right, right, right. So another similarity that I see is that we have this concept of prana everywhere, right? So we believe that the plants, the animals, even the matter. So everybody has this pran, this life, right? So I find a similarity there in the book. So is it that everything on the earth, everything present on the earth, whether it is a mountain or a river or some stone, everything uh, has a relevance, everything has a pran, everything has the role to play in this entire nature, in this entire prakriti. Is this the right assumption?
Yes, that's the right assumption, and actually it is a fact because every living matter has its own energy, the biofield energy. This is actually proven by scientists as well using Kirlian photography or using GDV device to capture the biofields of living matters, including plants, animals, and human beings. But human beings are a little bit special because human beings also has the sparkles of divinity. So when the creator created human beings, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each one of us. So we are part of the creator and the creator is part of us. So we all have the sparkles of divinity. So that means we are all connected to the source, the great ether, the creator of the universe. So this is
So
why the
yeah.
book
So does it
encourages.
mean so does it mean that plants does not have the part of divinity, or the animals does not have the part of divinity?
Um, they have the parts of the divinity, but not as much as what we human beings have. We human beings, we have 9 different bodies. In addition to the physical body, we also have our astral body, the um, the psychotypical body, and different bodies as mentioned in the book. But animals may only have 3 bodies, and plants may only have 1 or 2 bodies. So we are unique in the sense that we have the spiritual element of the creator, while the plants or animals they only have the biofields or the energy fields of the creator. So we are more complicated than plants or animals.
All right. So in the Upanishads we have the concept of kosh. Kosh is a body. So pran mein kosh, anna mein kosh, mano mein kosh, gyan mein kosh, like this, right? So these are this. I'm just trying to find a similarity. I'm
Mhm.
not drawing any parallel anywhere, but there is a concept of koshas, and so in that sense I can relate to it. But even the matter, because you said that living matters, so I am assuming that you are saying that stone, because the stone doesn't breathe, so does the stone have divinity or not?
The stones are matters that were created by the great ether, the creator, when the creator made the entire universe. The stones also have the sparkles of divinity, but it's a little bit different from what we human beings have. We human beings have the divinity, sparkles of divinity of spirituality, but the stones don't have. They only have the sparkles of divinity, but they don't have the spiritual element of it. So we human beings are a little bit special than the plants or stones because we are spiritual beings.
All right, all right. All right, great. So now I'll go to so I was just in this part I was just trying to find the similarity in the book and Sanatan Dharma, because most of our audience are Hindu Dharma Sanatan people, right? Hindus. So that's why. Uh, and one of the contradictions that I found was that the book talks very specific. The book has very specific data. Very specific data means that you are saying that on that planet a week comprises of 21 hours. a week comprises of 6 days. Each day has 21 hours. Some of these, 8,000 years old, like those, right? So 1 year consists of 333 days, right? The curse has a period of 55 lores. So these are very specific numbers. Is there a way that we can validate these specific numbers?
Yes, there are actually a lot of very specific facts that I was later able to verify. For example, in the very beginning of the book, it says when Michel de Marquet was taken into their spaceship, he was disinfected using yellow light and blue light. This book was published in 1993 and written in 1989. Um, about 20 years later, there was a research paper by Harvard Medical School proving the antibacterial antiviral effects of blue lights. And then just maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was another paper proving the antibacterial effects of yellow light. So this book was published way before the research papers were published, showing the antibacterial antiviral effects of yellow light and blue light.
So let me just contradict you with the fact in this land, right? For thousands of years, we know the properties of lights, right? And our dress code reflect that. For example, you see that the ladies in India,
Yes,
the top of the ladies of India has this, the abdomen area open, right?
yes.
So the abdomen area of ladies were open because so that the light can fall directly on their back. So this will help them because ladies need that spine because while they are giving birth. So all of these factors. So our Ayurveda, which has a lot of sun therapy elements, which talks about these things, is hundreds of thousands of years old, right? I mean, there are document proofs of saying that I can say that at least it is 5,000, 10, 7,000 years old. I mean,
It's actually
if
much
we
earlier
don't
than
know
that.
that, yeah. What Harvard has published is very, very late. So can we and I'm not contradicting that similar philosophies are not there in other regions, right? So maybe similar philosophies, maybe they're in China or maybe they're in Europe. I'm not sure. But there is a concept of church that they will believe uh, a thing to have originated only when they see it, right? So from that point of view, uh, I can't accept paper of Harvard to be the starting point of a human understanding of this light.
There are other specific verifiable facts written in the
Yeah.
book that I find amazing, one of which is about Jesus in India. So Jesus was born in Bethlehem, Israel, today's Israel, from Virgin Mary, and he was highly intelligent and smart, having a very profound conversation with the teachers of the temple. And people say that Jesus went to India. Yes, indeed, this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, confirms the fact that Jesus indeed came to India, but he also traveled through China and died in Japan. So this is why there's a tomb of Jesus in Shingo Village, Japan, that people can still visit and look up on the internet. Christ, on the other hand, is a different figure. And Christ is actually one of the Theobans who came to earth to teach about spirituality and love. But unfortunately, the concept of spirituality and also the concept of reincarnation that was originally in the Bible um, was later removed by the Catholic Church Council meetings. So this is why today, when you read the Bible, you don't see the concept of reincarnation anymore. But in the early days, the early Christians believed in reincarnation. So this is another fact about the validity of the book. Another fact, interesting fact, is the
So,
influence.
so what you are saying is that Jesus and Christ, these are
Yeah.
two different people,
Yes,
right?
two different people. Yes.
And what you are also saying is that original copy of Bible has the concept of reincarnation in it,
Yes.
right? So, who is the creator of that Bible, if I may ask so?
The creator of the Bible was actually the Catholic Church Council meetings. They compiled the
No, the
ancient
original Bible. The original Bible.
the original Bible were just ancient scriptures written by the disciples and the followers of Christ after Christ resurrected. So they were kind of historical documents describing what happened in the past. But then afterwards, the Catholic Church compiled all the original scriptures into one book, which is the Bible, including the Old Testaments and the New Testaments. But then later on, they distorted the original meanings, and then later, the concept of reincarnation was removed. So this
And
is
why was
why
it? And why was it removed?
because the church wanted to control people. They wanted to be the intermediary agency between the people and the creator God, what they call God. They wanted to control people so that people can really rely on them for salvation, for savior, to be saved. Um, they have to go through
And
the
the
church.
concept, and you are saying that the concept of reincarnation was coming in between. How was the concept of reincarnation coming in between? Church could have still ruled the people with this concept of reincarnation being part of Bible.
Right. So they removed the concept of reincarnation so that people had only two choices. One is to go to heaven, and the other is to go to hell. And if they believe in the church, they go to heaven. If they don't believe in the church, they go to hell. But actually, the process of human life is more complicated. It's only through reincarnations that the people can elevate themselves spiritually, step by step, level by level, until they reach the purity and to reach the paradise, the category 9 planet. But the church, after removing the concept of reincarnation, people only had the choice whether to accept the church or not. So that's why they removed that concept. But
Okay,
speaking
great.
speaking of the colors in India, so this is the reason I came to India actually. It's just to look for the beautiful, vibrant colors of saris that people wear, because colors are different vibrations, and different vibrations have different therapeutic effects on human health. This is actually talked at length in the book Thiaoouba Prophecy, the importance of different colors on the human body. They encourage us to wear vibrant colors of clothes of vibrant colors in order to improve our physical and emotional health. And actually, this is a very interesting concept. And also, I believe that the ancient Indian culture is so advanced because they actually learned from the ancient civilizations of Lemuria or Atlantis. Actually, in this book, it talks about 14,500 years ago, there was a continent that existed in the Pacific Ocean in which the people were highly advanced spiritually and materialistically. They had the technologies of levitation. They built a great pyramid, and also they promoted their cultures and also spiritual awareness to other parts of the world, including India, including Latin America, including people in the Pacific islands.
So,
Specifically,
so,
mhm,
so just one thing that in the book you are saying that Earth was inhabited around 1.3 million years, right? Years ago, but we
1.33
have
million years ago.
1.35 million years ago, right?
Yes.
But our ancient calendar, I'm sorry, but our ancient calendar, which we call Vedic calendar, is around 2 billion years old. Right, so it is 1.96 something 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 something, exact. It's not a rough number, or it's not a rounded off number, right? It's the exact number which doesn't have zero at the end, right? So our Vedic calendar is that old. So it is very difficult to believe that something has come from outside, because if something has come from outside, then that thing must have been older than Indian. Whereas our Vedic calendar, I have not found anything which is older than 1.96 billion years old. So if you bring anything that is that is older than 1.96, then we can say, we can believe that, this, because if let's say, let's say I learn from somebody, then I will say that, this is the day, or today 2024 is where my learning starts. But if someone is saying something in 2020, and I have said the same thing in, let's say, 1900, then it's the other way around, right? Oh, okay, so sorry, so I stopped you in between. Yeah,
Yes,
please go ahead.
yes, it is true because we all came from different planets originally. So in the original planet of Baccaratini, the black people and the yellow people lived there for hundreds of millions of years ago. And also before the planet Baccaratini, people came from different planet. So people migrate from one planet to another. So it could be possible that originally the Vedic calendar documented the entire history of the mankind on different planets. So people came to Earth about 1.35 million years ago, but the history of mankind traced back much earlier than that on different planets. It's only the yellows and blacks that came to Earth 1.35 million years ago, and the Caucasians came later, and the Jewish people, the Hebrews, came the latest, about 12,000 years ago. I mean, if you look at the Jewish Hebrew calendar, they only trace back to 6 or 7,000 years ago, but actually their history dated far back from 6 or 7,000 years ago. Uh,
So I'm just putting what is there in our text. So our text, the calendar that we have is 1.96 billion years old, and that calendar does not talk about, we have the concept of loks, like right, like Devalok, Prithvi Lok, Patal Lok, all the lokas. But this Prithvi Lok, the earth that we are living on, right? I'm talking about the calendar of that Prithvi Lok, right? So this is the difference. I'm just pointing out the difference. Yeah,
yes.
please go ahead.
Yes, and there are cycles as well of different planets and different stars. So and also this book hinted at the um, why astrology works because of the cycles and also the positions of different planets and stars. So this is why certain people believe astrology is very accurate, and indeed there is a scientific validity into the certain effects of stars and planets on people and human beings. But this book has a lot of more interesting facts that I was able to verify and validate. One of which involves uh, a project by the US government, a military project called Project Westford, in which in the 1960s, the US government sent out hundreds of millions of needles into space. And then, um, according to this book, the extraterrestrials saw the needles being harmful to human beings on Earth, so they collected the needles from space. So this is why after I read this book, I verified the fact, and it turned out that the two launches of Project Westford failed, and the needles uh, failed to launch. And there are other facts mentioned in the book I found very interesting, one of which involves what happened during World War II. Because according to this book, it's the ETs that prevented Germany from being the first country to develop the atomic bomb. And I did some research because in Germany, they were far ahead of the US scientists in developing the atomic bomb during World War II period. And for some reason, there was a doctor called Dr. Heisenberg. He made a very stupid mistake, and a report was actually sent and read by Hitler, so that Hitler believed that it would be impossible for Germany to make an atomic bomb because Germany didn't have enough natural resources to make it. So that's why he gave out the plan. And this is why the American scientists were able to develop the atomic bomb earlier than Germany. And deployed them at the two islands in Japan, the two places in Japan. So this book, Thiaoouba Prophecy, talks about all the details and also including the stories as documented in the Bible, like who really destroyed the two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, who really helped Moses to part the Sea of Reeds, and also during the Exodus, who gave manas for the Hebrews to eat. But I find very interesting and specifically kind of relating to the people in India is that in the traditional Indian culture, people worship a lot of gods and goddesses. And this book explains why that's the case. Because in the ancient times, the extraterrestrials actually came to India and appeared as gods or goddesses, so that people can follow the directions or mentorship of the extraterrestrials.
Great. So, Samuel, I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
Mhm.
So the the events that you quoted, whether it is World War II or whether it is the project of needles being sent in the space by the US. This book is written in the 1980s, and these events has happened before that, right? So if an event has happened before, I can say that this event happened because of the extraterrestrials. Like, let's say there is a war between India and Pakistan. Now, in the hindsight, I can say that ETs did that war. So a bigger proof will be that if this book has talked about something which will happen in the future, and between 1980 and 2024 that event has happened, right? So is there some event mentioned in the book where in the 1980s the author has said that this event is going to happen in, let's say, 2000 or 1999 or 2005, and that event has happened? Is there some event which was written prophetically rather than in the hindsight? Can you give some example of that?
Yes, I can do that. But before I do that, I like to point out that in the 1980s or in the 1970s, or back then, there was no internet. So even after book was published in 1993, internet was very, very limited to a small group of people in the United States. And he was living in Cairns, Australia at that time, and he didn't
No, I'm
even know.
not doubting. I'm not doubting his well-informedness, right? So I'm not doubting that he must have been really smart guy. I'm just playing the rebel's advocate that if a person living in Australia may have the information if he is really really smart, or if he has the connections with the right kind of people. So is there something which he has predicted that is going to happen after 10 years and that has happened? So that will be a much bigger proof of uh, of what is written in the book.
Um, a lot of the things that mentioned in the book um, were actually scientifically proven years after the book was published. For example, what I mentioned about the antibacterial effect of blue lights, and also about the findings of life forms on Mars, and also about the ET bases on the far side of the moon, the backside of the moon. And this book actually explains who built the artificial bases on the far side of the moon, and also explains why they did that. And also, a lot of the archaeological findings showed that Sodom and Gomorrah was really struck by a strong, powerful laser light, or kind of like a weapon, like laser light weapon. And also a lot of findings about some very specific details in the book. For example, the kangaroos eat the specific kind of grass in Australia called the black boy grass. And this is actually, this paper was actually published years after the book Thiaoouba Prophecy was published. So there are a lot of facts were proven many years after the book Thiaoouba Prophecy was published. and also a lot of findings turned out to be true, like the what I just mentioned about the farthest of the moon and also life on Mars, as well as the pattern of the star system, like the solar system, like 9 planets revolve around the star. And I think just a few years ago, the astronomers discovered another system, like the solar system, in which different planets rotate a star or two stars. And this book talks about the pattern in the universe, specifically relating to the star system, is that 9 planets revolve around a star or two stars, and then the the stars revolve around like a bigger star, and the bigger star revolve around even a bigger star until the center of the universe, where everything came from originally through a Big Bang event.
Okay, great. Uh, you know, I'm just, as I said, I'm just playing the rebel's advocate, right? Uh, so one of the things that you have mentioned in the book is that, and correct me if this is not mentioned, that, if uh, the book says that if you make a mistake, you pay the penalty, right? So I agree with this part because, this is the karma theory, which is there in all the text of Hindus. But it also says that if you make a mistake, then you will pay the penalty immediately in 10 years' time or in 10 centuries' time, right?
Yes,
The karma theory that we have does not talk about this timeline. It says that you will pay for your karma, but whatever you have done, you will pay for that. But the timeline will not be decided, right? So timeline is not like, let's say I do a karma today, so it is not necessary that I will it pay the penalty either immediately or in 10 years or in 10 centuries. Maybe I will pay in, let's say, my next birth, or after 20 years, or after 40 years. So where is this exact number, 10 years or 10 centuries, coming from?
there's not a very specific number because it may come sooner or later, but you have to pay the price. And actually, I read a lot of spiritual books, one of which is Mr. Babaji's book. And also Babaji, I actually rely on him quite a bit because he is a great spiritual leader or master. And he says that he cannot really change the karmic effects of his disciples. So one has to pay his or her own mistake or price in his or her lifetime or in the future reincarnations. The spiritual master, even a master like Babaji, cannot change that course of action. So that means that we have to pay the price for the mistake we made in the past. And I think this is a very important lesson to learn. So we
Yeah. So
better
this
behave.
is exactly. So this is true for in Sanatan Dharma, even the gods, devatas, right? So God is a loose translation of the devatas, but even the devatas has to pay the price of their karma.
Yes.
So even the devatas and the avatars. So Vishnu took avatar as Krishna. So Krishna will also have to pay will also have to live the consequences of their karma, right? So if you are living on this earth, then you can't escape the karma. So this is a similarity. I just wanted to point it out.
Yes.
Uh, One more thing that is mentioned in the book is that it kind of says that by default, humans by design are non-vegetarians. Let me quote the book, right? So it says that their immediate need was food. Still, they were subsisting essential food products uh, from the sea, right? So then it says that they were non-vegetarians and occasionally cannibals uh, to satisfy their omnivorous yearnings. So are you suggesting that humans by design are non-vegetarians?
Well, you have to take that portion of description into context. Context. This is right after a nuclear war, a nuclear explosion in which many people were killed by radiation. and there were no plants or edible plants anymore. And in order to survive, they had to resort in eating like sea animals and also eating um, animals and also carnivores like eating themselves. So this is after the nuclear catastrophe of
But
what
it says
happened.
that, it says that they have omnivorous yearnings, so they have a desire for non-vegetarian. So I understand that, if it is the need, if it is, s- I'm sorry. So there is some thunderstorm. Okay. All right. So if there is an if there is emergency, or if there is something like that, then I understand. But it says omnivorous yearnings, like, they have the desire for omnivorous food. Is this, or am I reading it wrong?
I believe what you read is the portion that describe what happened after the nuclear catastrophe.
Okay.
This is when people didn't have a lot of food to eat or plants or fruits to eat, and I think by nature, um, according to this book, people needed to survive. Their survival is one of the top priorities. And when the author Michel Marquet went to their planet Thiaoouba, he was actually given powders uh, as food to eat. Most of the powders were made of plants or fruits or vegetables. Oh, there was some kind of fish powders as well, and milkish, like powders made of milk as well, and they drink like a honey meal, like a honey with water as a liquid. But one of the most interesting things is that he only needed to eat once every 2 days or so, because the food provided to him, um, in which the calories are released at intervals, at different intervals. So he didn't feel hunger after like 6 or 8 hours or 24 hours. He only felt hunger. Actually, he didn't feel hunger at all on the planet. They ate every 2 days or so because they
Yeah, yeah.
believe that everything should be focused on the mind and not the stomach.
Yeah. So this thing, I agree that, we have similar examples in the spiritual text of Hinduism also, that, there are foods which once you eat, they will satisfy your hunger for few days or for few months. Uh, thank you, Samuel. Anything that you want to add that, I have not asked, or anything that you want to say to the audience at the end?
I think the most important message in the book is that when you encounter life challenges, you should look inside for answers. For the kingdom of God is within you. We, through meditation or in dreams, we can connect to our higher self. And then our higher self is actually part of the source, the creator. So we can connect to the source through our higher self. And if the solutions are good for your spiritual development, they will be provided to you during your meditation or through dreams. So this is why the French or a lot of people in the world believe in night brings counsel. Like when you sleep, when you wake up, sometimes new ideas will come to you. And I also believe that we should unite together to rise up against tyrannies through nonviolent resistance, just like what Mr. Gandhi preached in India in the past. Because the world is becoming increasingly divided, especially after the pandemic. Uh, with the social media, people only receive the news that they love to read or hear, so that people are increasingly divided in their opinions or world views. But we should remember that we are all creations of the same creator. We are all brothers and sisters, regardless of the nationality, of the religion, of different races. We are all one family. We should unite together without uh, the antagonistic feelings. Regardless of the differences that we have, we should all work together and to make the world a better world.
I can't agree more. I think I completely agree with you, except for maybe the Gandhi part. Gandhi ji is a well marketed person. Most of the Indians don't see him as non-violent as he is projected. But that I understand that your intentions are. I respect those intentions. At the end, I would like to uh, say it from your book, from that book, that we all of us have a role to play, role to perform, as does every creature existing in the universe. In fact, everything, including a single pebble, has its role. So I really like this, and I thank you very much, Samuel Chong, for your time, and it was lovely talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kamal.